Do you guys see my plant in the background? This is my first plant that I've had as an adult. And it's just growing so well. I'm so proud of it. So today I want to talk about the importance of social media for writers. And I think there's like, of course, the debate of like what social media platform is the best platform to use for writers. I am very, very active and present on Instagram and not so active and present on Twitter, which is ironic because Twitter is all about the words, which, hello, I'm a writer, and Instagram is all about the photos. So it seems like a little bit backwards. I'll explain why Instagram is popping for authors, poets, writers, etc. as we continue with this video. So truly, like, just like being 100 with you guys, if it wasn't for social media, and when I say social media, for me, I'm mostly talking about Instagram, so you can kind of assume that when I say social media, I'm talking about Instagram for me personally. If it wasn't for social media, my audience would be non-existent. How I got the word out about my book coming out, how I got the word out about any upcoming project, big or small, and that's how I built my audience, you know, and it's still growing. It's still small in comparison to many, in comparison to most, but if it wasn't for that, I would have made no book sales, no nothing, you know, and we'll get into that as well. For any creative person, for any artist, singer, writer, whatever, social media allows you to test out your material. You're thinking like material, test out your material, you're a writer, what do you mean? You just sit down and write and put it out, you know? But like, what I mean by that is you get to put out your work and then get a feel and get a sense of what people think about it, how they perceive it, how they interpret it, what their true opinion is on it, if they want more of a certain theme, more of a certain genre, if this gets more likes, if this gets more comments, people will say, wow, I can really relate to that, or like, oh, I really love when you talk about this topic, etc., etc. That's what you really get to feel for what works and what doesn't work. And I'm not saying to change your content based on whatever. I mean, there's always the argument of like, okay, you obviously want to put out what is selling better. That's the whole point of like sales and marketing, is knowing what works best for you, but also you want to be true to yourself and true to your brand. So when I say get a feel for what they like more than others, I mean get a feel for honing in on your audience. If you don't know who your target audience is quite yet, you get a feel for your tone. It's the same as when a comedian goes up to like a open mic night at some hole in the wall bar. They test out their material and see what works, what the crowd responds to, etc., etc. Some advice that I got from Sam Laura Brown. She's formerly known as Smart 20s online, but I think she's now changed all of her platform and social media handles to Sam Laura Brown, which is just her name. I actually like did one of her blogging courses 2 years ago when I was making my website, to learn like how to build my website and everything like that. And she helped me tremendously. She does a lot of really cool online courses. I still listen to her podcast all the time. But I say all that to say, shout out to Sam Laura Brown, but I say all that to say, I was in one of her Facebook groups, like for people that were a part of the blogging course. We could just like kind of shoot the shit and go back and forth, bounce ideas off each other, stuff like that, and like track our progress. One of my concerns that I brought up to her and to the whole group actually was that I was kind of stuck between like, okay, I'm a writer and my end goal is to sell my poems, but if I post all my favorite poems, all my most strongest poems, all my most like wow factor poems, if I post those online for free, no one's gonna buy my book because it's already out there. And that is not true. It is not true. And what Sam Laura Brown taught me, or what she like advised me at the time, was don't be afraid to put out all your best work and then feel like you're not gonna have anything left to share later. Because that was the root of my fear. I had to like figure that out, like what was causing me to be so wary about doing that. And the root of it truly was, I was like, these are all of my top 5 best poems that I've ever written in my life. If I post these on my Instagram, anyone can screenshot it and repost it, and then when I put my book out, no one's gonna want to buy my book because these poems are already out here, people have already seen it, it's old news. And basically what she was saying, what she was advising to me was, don't live with the fear of, these are my top best products and I'm never gonna be able to produce something else that's just this good or just even better than this, you know what I mean? Put out the work so people will love it, people will admire your work and say, wow, that's really good stuff. what else does she have? And then they will buy your book of poems because they want to know what else is in there that's like that. And don't get ahead of yourself and think, I'm never going to write a poem again that's as good as that one that I posted for free on Instagram. Yes, you will. Like, believe in yourself, you know? Social media is also how I got all of the reviews for my book. I can do a whole nother YouTube video on that about getting book reviews, how to obtain book reviews, when to notify people, things like that. But in short and sweet, all of my book reviews that I got from my book on Amazon came from social media. In between projects, so in my case, in between like book releases or whatever the case may be, in between all of those projects, social media is what's gonna help you stay relevant by continuing to post and check in with your followers. Post about your process in between projects, post about your personality, etc., etc. People like to be taken along for the ride. They like to feel like they're being brought into the behind the scenes world of how things are made. I would show people behind the scenes of like, this is me up at 2 a.m. in the morning, revising my book. This is me getting my proof copy in the mail. This is me stressing out because I didn't get to the post office in time. You know, things like that. But you want to bring people behind the scenes. And you also, even if you have nothing going on, say you're not in the middle of writing a book, you have nothing to send out for press release, you have nothing to send out to the post office, still stay relevant in between those milestones, because that's where you're going to get new followers. You can get a new follower in May and you don't have another book coming out until June of the next year. But that follower is going to see something else that you post and relate to it, or be attracted to it, or admire you for what you're posting in the meantime. And then when that comes around, they're going to be another customer. I'm not trying to make this all about sales, but let's be real. Like, people that are following you for a reason, because they like what you're posting, they like who you are, who you're presenting yourself as, and eventually they will support your project and your endeavors just because they like you as a person. So you have to bring your personality to it at all times. With that being said, you do get to choose how little or how much you give of yourself, how much you pull the curtain back and show your personal life. I'm not a huge personal person. I'm a private person, I guess I should say. I don't show people every intimate moment that I'm having. But with that being said, I understood that, hey, if I want to be this thing, I claim I want to be an author, I claim I want to have a best-selling book, I claim all this stuff, how am I going to do that if I'm afraid to show my face, if I'm afraid to sit down and talk in front of a camera? You know, and I'm not saying everyone has to be a social media star and have a YouTube channel and be this face of the internet. At least sometimes or occasionally, you do need to let people know, hey, I am the face behind this brand. I am, even though you see my work and you admire my work and my written work and my photos and whatever, there's a human behind this, operating this. So let's connect human to human. That is never going to not be important. Human connection, even if it's digitally, is always going to be important. And if you feel connected to another human being, you're going to want to be invested in their work. That's just how it goes. That's psychology. And I know that because I also have a psychology degree. So we're multifaceted over here. Okay, thank you. Interacting with accounts is so important. And I don't mean those little engagement pods. I don't mean those little like chain mail group texts where everyone just comments mumbo jumbo on people's posts to get likes and comments back. We're not talking about that over here. But engaging, I don't even want to say engaging. Interacting with accounts is so important. There's plenty of writers that I follow on Instagram that I genuinely am a fan of their work and love their work and admire their work. So I make it a point to, one, let them know that and support them, and two, to just like celebrate their wins, because their win is essentially my win as well. If they can do it, I can do it. I've made so many friends on Instagram, not even just writer friends. Most of my friends on Instagram aren't writers. They're just people that like, they've been following me since day one. I've been following them since day one or day 20 or whatever. And we just interact back and forth. And no, I can't comment on all their posts because, one, I follow too many people, and two, like, to be completely honest, I do not get on Instagram on my business account every single day. I just don't. I try to more now because I'm aware that like it's important, but I don't get on there every single day because it's overwhelming and intimidating at times. But I have friends that I genuinely care about their lives. I genuinely care about what's happening with them, what's with their work. And I want to be able to respond to their messages when they message me, when they comment on my story. I want to be able to say, oh, thanks for commenting on my story. When they like my post and comment on my post, I want to at least go back and like the comment or say thank you for whatever. it goes a long way. Just simply saying thank you for commenting, or like someone comments you and compliments your poem or something, you going back and saying thank you, making sure you say thank you to every person or as many as you can, goes a long way. It goes a long way. If I could pay someone to go into my business Instagram account, my Dear Sierra Instagram account, and like respond to all my comments, respond to all my messages, interact back with people that I actually like, not just go and interact with random accounts, but interact with the people that I am like, yeah, that's my girl, I like her. If I could pay someone to do that, to genuinely do it, not just like spam people, but to genuinely do it and respond from the heart with my mind. If I could just have a clone, can I just have a clone? If I could have a clone and not pay them because it's a family discount, that would save me so much time. It's so time consuming. It is like having another full-time job. Speaking of full-time jobs, I have a real full-time job. I'm a full-time grad student and I'm trying to run Dear Sierra full-time and turn it into a brand and keep up with my website and do this freelance writing thing to make money on the side. I'm doing a lot of stuff. And I could be managing my time a lot better than I actually am. Social media does help me a lot with like being present even when I'm not actually doing any work. So even if I'm not writing a book right now or not blogging right now, I can still like keep the momentum of Dear Sierra going by interacting with social media. See what I did there? Yes, it all circles back around. Your social media profile or profiles. Even if you have more than one social media profile, I want to say this real quick. Even if you have more than one social media profile, you're definitely going to have one that's like that you're more heavily involved in. For mine, it's Instagram. I have a Dear Sierra Facebook page, a Dear Sierra Twitter, a Dear Sierra Pinterest, a Dear Sierra YouTube, and a Dear Sierra Instagram. I'm on a Dear Sierra Instagram way more than any of the other ones, but I have all of them because I needed to obviously like claim my URL and stuff like that. And I do want to eventually be more active on Twitter because that is written content and that makes the most sense as a writer. But I just want to say, establish all your social media platforms if you feel you need to have more than one, which you should have at least more than one. But it's going to be natural that you kind of gravitate to one social media platform more than the others. And for me, it's Instagram. It just is. And Instagram is the most popular right now, let's be real. So your social media platform of choice is literally going to be your digital portfolio. And that goes for, obviously for a photographer, portfolio is like speaking literally. But even for a writer, it's my digital portfolio. It's where people get to see my written work. It's where people get to see that I'm creative. I know Instagram is very like photo based. So it's hard to incorporate written work into photos. That's not always just like ugly, boring photos of printed text. So a lot of times I will take photos of myself or take photos of like a sunset or something and then attach a caption. And for those, I don't really like I see a lot of writers will put a photo and then put the poem in the caption, and it's a long ass poem in the caption. I don't like doing that because I don't want my words to be glazed over like that. So if I'm posting a poem, I intentionally post the poem as the photo. But when I'm posting other content that's not poems, like just photos of myself or selfies or just like me sharing a random thought or like a mini journal entry, then I will post it a photo, and then I will always have a thoughtful caption, at least a few sentences or something, unless I'm just trying to be clever and witty and have like a quick little witty caption from time to time. But I'm very intentional with the captions, but I do not, for me personally, I do not post my poems in the caption of pictures because I don't want my poems to be like the second tier portion of the post. I feel like everyone looks at the photo first, and then based on how good the photo is, you decide if you're gonna sit through a long caption and read it or not. I went off kind of on a tangent, but basically your social media platform is your digital profile. And like my hairstylist was saying the other day, ironically, I just heard her like talking to someone about this. Shout out to my hairstylist. She did my hair and all my other hairstyles that she ever seen me wear. They were all done by her. I love her so much. But anyways, she was talking to someone the other day when I was in her salon, and she was like, it's really like the modern day Yellow Pages. It's really like the modern day Yellow Pages. You flip through Instagrams, and that's how you kind of check people's credibility and like their ads, and like It's not really based on followers. I feel like followers don't mean that much, especially if you can acknowledge someone's just starting out and getting into it. But you get to see reviews, you get to see quality of work, full close-up shots, all kinds of things, you know. So it really is like the modern day Yellow Pages. It's a little bit different for writers since we aren't selling a direct service. I guess the end product would be I'm selling you a book that's coming out. But you're still selling your brand. You're still selling, selling your brand and kind of gaining trust with those people. And the people will say, okay, I'm going to save that for later. Okay, like, I'm going to make a mental note that that girl does really good calligraphy. That girl does really good blog posts. And then they're going to save that information for later, and they're going to know where to go and where to find you when they want your services or when they want to buy your book of poems. Okay, so I've been on social media since I was like, I don't even know, 12 or 13. So for me, there wasn't really a huge learning curve with getting on social media, because I've been navigating social media for over 10 years. So there was no like, okay, I need to get used to like how this technology works kind of thing. That wasn't an obstacle for me. I'm blessed that I did not have a learning curve with social media. I mean, obviously you still have to learn about algorithms, learn about like how to tag your posts and blah, 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 blah. But as far as like how to navigate, how to create a profile and like that kind of stuff, I can do that at a drop of a hat. I've attempted so many YouTube channels, okay? I've had, I don't even know. So I'm not gonna say them out loud on camera. I think I've had 5 YouTube channels other than this, other than the one that I have right now. And those videos are like archived or deleted or both. Or you would just never find them because they're under weird names. But I say all that to say that it took me until now to find my creative tone, and that partially has to do with just growing up and like becoming an adult and becoming like coming into yourself, you know. I'm 24 years old right now. I'll be 25 next month. But a lot of that has to do with just like growing up and kind of like becoming your own person and finding out like what your voice is, what your tone is, what your creative comfort is, you know what I mean? So I think once you find your voice, social media is going to be a lot less intimidating. I'm not gonna lie, when I first started my Dear Sierra Instagram account, I still wasn't 100% sure, 100% confident of how I wanted to present myself, what I wanted my tone to be in my captions, how much I wanted to show my face on camera, all kinds of things that I was still unsure of. And even to this day, I'm still a little unsure of like, should I share this on my business page or not? But I have a better gauge of it now just because I've been in the game for a while. And then lastly, I just want to go back to the whole community thing. I like touched on it before when I was talking about interacting with pages, but really like the writer community is out there. It's hard to find. You have to scour through. But there's so many untapped area. There's like so many resources that we're not even scraping the surface of just because we're not even aware that they're there. There's so many tags, so many groups, so many, I mean, AuthorTube is like, I'm not a big name in it yet, but my goal is to be a prevalent face in the AuthorTube world. But there's just so much untapped energy and untapped resources in the writing community. And just like, you just gotta plug in with people. And I don't mean befriend everybody, because I don't advise befriending everyone. And I don't think that like, just because we're writers, we have to be best friends, because there's so many other things that make up a person as a person that like, that's not gonna be the basis of a solid friendship. But I do definitely want to encourage people to just like get in there and just like see what there is out there, see what there is to offer. And you'll be surprised what you come across. You'll be surprised the support you get. You'll be surprised how quick you build a following when you really try. You'll be surprised. But I don't really know how to perfectly round out this video and close it all up neat and pretty. So let's just leave this as an open conversation. I'm sure I will see some flaws in this video when I'm editing it and realize that I need to make a part 2 potentially. Or if you have any particular questions or concerns or comments just in general, even if it's a critique of any kind, don't hesitate to comment, and I will definitely be posting more writing related content. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I just spoke to my, so for those of you that don't know, I am in grad school for clinical mental health counseling. I just spoke to my academic advisor today, and the current term that I'm in doesn't end until mid-September, and my term after that begins in mid-October. So I have like a 4-week break in between my classes. I hope to kind of like push out more content during that 4-week break. But then when mid-October hits, my classes are going to be a lot more intense than what they are this time around. So I'm going to be really tapped out because I'm still going to be working full time. I'm going to be taking 2 very time-consuming, 2 very demanding classes from October to December. I'm just going to be completely real with you guys. So I'm going to try to maybe like pre-record or archive some posts, and also just kick out a lot of content in between mid-September and mid-October. But I do want to keep the writer conversation going and share any advice or any tips or any experiences or stories or opinions that I can possibly share with you guys to keep this convo going on my channel and elsewhere. So thanks for watching. Thanks for caring about my opinion and taking a small grain of my advice if you do. Can't wait to talk to you guys some more about some cool writing stuff.